Hey, welcome back to Food According to El Roca. Guys, today we are making beef stew. But let me tell you, not just any beef stew. It's a beef stew recipe that I came up with, and I simplified it so that anyone who wants to cook beef stew can actually follow it. Guys, this beef stew recipe, you can actually serve it with a side of cabbage, a side of some acha. You know we love acha in South Africa, so you can have it with both the acha and the cabbage. It goes very well. So you can serve it with pap, or you can serve it with dumpling. It goes very well with both of them. So please guys, just do the recipe with me, follow it with me. It's very simple, but it's delicious at the end. So guys, let's just not waste any time. Let's just go into the recipe. Let's go. So guys, as you can see, we have some beef short rib. You can use any other stewing beef. And then we have some potatoes. You can use baby potatoes or any other potato. Chopped green pepper and onion. We have some bay leaves. And then we have some tomato paste, maybe about 2 tablespoons. Then we have about a tablespoon of 2 spices, barbecue and 6 gun, some ginger and garlic, and then we have some turmeric and paprika. So it depends on how you want it. If you want it to be too spicy, a little bit more spicy, you can add more turmeric and paprika. And then we're gonna start first by making sure we saute all the spices. You fry some of these spices. Why? Because you want to bring out the flavor. But first we're gonna do the meat. We are going to brown the meat on either side before we can start with the spices. So as you can see, we're gonna do the meat, brown it on either side. It's like we are sealing the flavor of the meat. It won't take too long for the meat to brown because we're just gonna seal it maybe a minute on either side, or just half a minute on either side, and then the meat will be ready to be taken out of the pot before we can add our spices. Okay, as you can see, the meat is brown now. You start taking it out of the pot. Okay, after taking out all the meat out of the pot, now you're gonna add your ginger and garlic. Before adding the green pepper and the onion, we add all the spices first so that we can get that flavor out. You know, when you fry the spices first, you actually bring out all the flavor, so that when you actually do your stew, it's going to have that deep flavor of all the spices. So we add all your spices. So the spices that the oil that I'm using is olive oil, but you can always use your own, whichever one you are using. And I forgot to tell you guys that I also add some Worcester sauce into the spices. We're trying to pick up the spices that are at the bottom of the pot. We pick them up. So I use Worcester sauce, but also to add that flavor. I think it also brings this deep flavor into the stew. So I love using it a lot. So you add some oil, because you know spices usually, you know, they eat up the oil, so you end up with dry, your pot will get a little bit dry. So that's why I keep adding some oil into the pot, just to make sure that it's not too dry while I'm busy. As you can see, I love a lot of Worcester sauce. It's very nice, I love it. So it just works with any stew, even chicken stew or, you know, beef stew. It works very well with any stew. Once you can see that all your spices now are coming out, the flavors are out, you can smell them, like all the flavors are out, then you add your meat now into the pot. The meat that you took out earlier, you put it back into the pot, and then you coat it with your spices, and so that all that flavor, you know, the smell of that is welcoming. Already your neighbors might be knocking on your door wanting to come and taste whatever you're cooking. Once that is coated, now you're going to add some water so that you can cook the meat. You must add enough water, just enough to cover the meat, so that it's like just below the water, so that it can cook. And then you're gonna you're gonna close your pot and leave it to cook until your meat is soft. I think that will depend on which cut of beef you are using. If it's short rib, some meats are quicker to cook than others, so it depends which one you're cooking. Then it will determine the time that your meat is gonna take. You can keep checking it just to make sure that is it soft yet. So once you leave it there, you come back, you check if your meat is soft yet. If it's soft already, you can even take out a piece and taste it, you know. You don't have to taste it with your spoon. And then from there, once you realize that your meat is soft, you can now add your potatoes. So your meat will be almost ready to serve, and then you add the potatoes so that you give them enough time to soften. What you need is for the potatoes to soften and to soak up all that sauce with all the spices and the flavor. So you want to transfer the flavor into the potatoes and soften them at the same time. Once everything is ready, your potatoes are soft, test them, and you can even take out a piece again and, you know, taste it. Once your potatoes are soft, then you can add your tomato paste now. And I always add some butter in my stews at the end because butter makes everything delicious. But you don't have to add the butter if you're health conscious. But I always add the butter because it gives extra flavor into the stew. So that's when you can add your butter here. And then from there you're gonna let it sit and simmer. You reduce your stove and let it simmer for a few minutes, and I think your stew will be ready to serve now. And the smell of that stew, I can almost taste it just by looking at it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope yours came out great as it's supposed to. And please guys, like, subscribe and share my videos, and please come back for another recipe later when we do something else. You never know what we're gonna cook. We're gonna come up with different recipes. Thank you for watching.